The meeting is now called to order.
Mr. Chair, I move for the approval of the minutes of the last two meetings, September 23 and September 30 of this committee, Mr. Chair.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is carried.
And Mr. Chair, I move for to dispense with the calling of the roll, Mr. Chair.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the calling of the roll is dispensed with. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning once again. Before we start, I'd like to apologize for the slight delay as most of our members and colleagues are on their way, probably due to heavy traffic and other personal commitments. Nonetheless, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of our members before we start our deliberation. To my right is a new congressman. He's a neophyte congressman representing the 3rd District of Quezon City, a former councilor, 3-term councilor. He's no other than Congressman Alan Reyes from the 3rd District of Manila, of Quezon City. The others are on their way, and while we're waiting for their arrival, I'd like to thank our colleague here for being on time. At any rate, our panel is also graced by the presence of some agency heads and officials from entities in the water sector. I thank newly appointed, hindi naman ho gaano kabago, 4 na buwan na ho ata kayo, no? Newly appointed MWSS administrator is the former commanding general of the Philippine Marines. He is no other than may tukayo, Lieutenant General Emmanuel Salamat. Ng maga po, sir. We also have with us this morning the chief regulator of the MWSS, Attorney Patrick Lester T. Yes? Yeah. We have a former colleague, a member of the 15th, 14th Congress. He hails from Tarlac. He is now the administrator of the local water utilities administration. He is no other than Engineer Jesse Lapus. Welcome, sir. Magandang umaga. Also with us today, we have a former cabinet secretary who is now the chief executive officer of Manila Water. He is no other than a good friend, Mr. Jose Rene Almendras. Also with us today, we have representing the Maynilad and the Chief Operating Officer, Mr. Randolph Estrellado, representing Maynilad. We have with us today the Dr. Sevillo David Jr., who is the Executive Director of the National Water Resources Board. He will explain to us later why the allocation of water has diminished as of this time. Also, we have with us today Mr. Richard Orendain from DOST Pag-asa, and he is accompanied by Mr. Juni Ruiz. They will explain why there is no rain. Normally, at this time of the year, itong ulan na ito po ang malalakas na nagdudulot ng bagyo, ulan at dilubyo at baha sa mga panahon ng taon na to. Also with us today, we have representatives from the Commission on Audit. We have the team leader, Ms. Ignacia G. Rodrigo, Ms. Cynthia Herrera, also a team leader. Puro kayo team leader po, ano ho? And of course, we have Ms. Nancy Uy, the supervising auditor of COA. Sa lahat po ng mga bisita natin, baka meron ho akong hindi nabanggit na narito ho. Yung si Emil Hernandez po ng LLDA, can you be recognized, please? You have signed? Si Mr. Dungo, wala ho ngayon. And ano po ang designation nyo?
Department Manager po, Your Honor.
Opo, and you are sent here by your agency?
Yes po.
Okay, thank you po. Is there any other person or invited resource speakers that were not mentioned before we start our hearing? Wala na po, ano ho? Magandang umaga po sa inyo. Today, as we continue our unexpected monitoring of water supply in Metro Manila, we neither intended nor planned to monitor, but by circumstances, we had to, because our public, the Metro Manilans, continue to experience the rotational low to zero supply of water. If you can recall, last August 27, almost all of you present here were also in attendance in our previous hearing. And all sectors are affected. Alam nyo naman ho, the residential, commercial, the office sectors. Worse, none is yet definitive, especially the end of this suffering. In previous meetings of this committee on the matter, the water sector attended and the following facts were established. I'd also like to recognize former Congressman Anthony Bravo. He's representing Congressman B.F. Fernando, who will be a little late. Number one, we have a water crisis, and denying this would be to turn a blind eye on our actual experience. Number two, this crisis was instigated by both man-made and natural causes. Number three, only mitigating measures, quite topical or temporary, are undertaken to augment Angat water supply in our faucets. Number four, long-term solutions surely take long. We know that. And one of them is the Kaliwa Dam project, or others projected to be completed in ideally 3 years. Number five, we pray for strong rains, but Pag-asa forecasts that there are no longer forthcoming rain until the end of this year, which keeps the Angat water level critical because our next rainy season will be in the second half of next year yet. As far as we understood, there is